Lucky breaks aren't a limited resource handed out to only a select few. They're more like hidden patterns visible to those who've trained themselves to see possibilities in everyday moments. Most of the time, people who seem lucky aren't randomly fortunate. They've just developed specific habits that transform ordinary situations into extraordinary opportunities. So today I'm asking, are you missing your lucky break? Let's talk about 5 ways to make sure you catch it. Hey there, my friend. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Catching Sunshine. If you're enjoying these conversations, I'd be so grateful if you'd take a quick minute to leave a review. Your reviews help other people find the show, and honestly, they make my day. So thank you. As I'm recording this, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. Let the shenanigans begin. And okay, that got me thinking about luck, but not the kind that just falls into your lap. I'm talking about the kind of luck you create by showing up, staying open, following those tiny nudges that lead to opportunities. Because the truth is, lucky breaks rarely happen to people who are sitting around waiting for them. They happen to people who are paying attention, who know how to spot the small openings, and they love what they're doing, they follow their curiosity, they step forward when the moment is right. And I know this because I've lived it. Here's how I got what could be called a lucky break. So years ago, I happened to see a post in a Facebook group I wasn't even familiar with. And someone had a question about energy healing, and I felt like I could help. Normally, I wouldn't jump into a conversation with people I didn't know, but something really nudged me to respond. And that one response opened a door I didn't even know was there. A woman named Deb, she wasn't the one I was replying to, but she had seen my comment and reached out and asked me a few other questions, and then completely out of the blue, she invited me to be a guest on her International Energy Healing Summit. I had never done something like that before, and those were just starting to all get going, and I said yes. And from there, the doors just kept opening. Deb invited me back for multiple seasons. Other summit hosts reached out, and I did radio shows and podcasts, which were just starting to take off at the time. Once that momentum got going, I kept getting more invitations, and I usually had more that I had to decline than I could take on. And I tried to keep it to not more than one a week. I usually did 2 or 3 times a month I'd speak on someone's summit. And so my client list just grew almost overnight. And you could absolutely call that a lucky break. But also, I did my part. I had been writing a lot about energy healing, putting my thoughts into words, refining how I explained my work. So when the moment came, I knew how to answer that woman's question on Facebook. And when it came to speaking on the summit, I didn't have to scramble. I already had my talking points, my message, a good free gift to offer the listeners. I was already teaching classes at that point. That's what catching a lucky break is all about. You prepare, and then when the doors open, you already have your shoes on. But you got to hear me on this part. I'm not saying any of this to brag or to sound boastful, because I've also not been prepared and missed what could have been lots of lucky breaks. I've had plenty of times where an opportunity showed up and I wasn't ready. I didn't have that specific message dialed in, or I didn't follow up, or I hesitated too long, and those moments slipped right through my fingers. And some of those I'm sad about, but some of those it's okay, because we can't do everything. We just don't have the bandwidth to go after every opportunity that comes to us. We have to prioritize what we like and what we love. That's a little callback to my episode 10 about FOMO. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, said, "Luck is where opportunity meets preparation." And that's so true. Most people don't miss out on lucky breaks because they aren't talented enough. No, I think they miss out because they don't take the next step for one reason or another. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, said, "Many people are not ready for their lucky break when it comes to them. Develop your skills, study your craft, save some money, build a network before you need it, lay the groundwork. The prepared person is positioned to benefit from unexpected opportunities." That's a great quote. And Mark Twain is often quoted as saying, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." But to go along with what I teach, I'd reframe this slightly. The more you engage in work that truly inspires you and brings you joy, the more lucky breaks seem to appear. And when you really look at successful people, you'll see that the difference between those who seem lucky and those who feel unlucky is often just in their perspective and preparation. The successful people are following their passions and spotting possibilities that align with their purpose and taking inspired action instead of waiting for Lady Luck to knock on their door. The thing is, if you look at your life as a series of lucky breaks or unlucky breaks over which you have no control, and I know none of us would do that because we're all possibilitarians, but hypothetically, if you did look at your life like that, lucky breaks or unlucky breaks, you're not giving yourself the credit you deserve for following your inspiration, but you're also not taking responsibility for creating your own future. When we credit luck instead of inspired action, we set ourselves up to struggle. When we credit luck instead of inspired action, we set ourselves up to struggle when the going inevitably gets tough. Because if we believe success is just about luck, what happens when things aren't going our way? We risk giving up or thinking it's out of our hands when really it's about how we respond to the opportunities that resonate with our core values. Lucky breaks aren't about being rescued. They're about recognition and alignment. They don't eliminate the need for engagement. They actually reward it. The people who catch these moments of opportunity, they're not sitting around waiting. They're doing what they love. They're following their inspiration and creating the ideal conditions to recognize and seize possibilities when they appear. So I think a lot of times what we call luck is just possibility spotting, paying attention, staying open, stepping into opportunities when they show up. And maybe that's the key. Luck isn't about chance. It's about positioning yourself for opportunities before they arrive. That's where preparation and possibility meet. So how can you intentionally put yourself in the right place at the right time for your next lucky break? Well, here are 5 ways to prep, and each one of these has a little challenge with it, so get ready. All right, number 1, say yes before you feel ready. Here's the thing, opportunities rarely come when we feel 100% prepared. If I had waited until I felt like an expert speaker, I would have never taken that first step of saying yes to be on the summit. The luckiest, and I'm saying that in air quotes, luckiest people are the ones who say yes first and then figure it out as they go. And if it's a new opportunity, you're going to be figuring it out as you go anyway. So just say yes, jump in. Here's the challenge. This week, say yes to something you would normally overthink. It could be creating a video for social media, or hey, how about a lunch date with a new friend, or finally sharing that cool idea that you've been thinking so much about. Just say yes to something without overthinking it. Think a little bit about it, but don't overthink it. All right, number 2, put yourself in the right places. Lucky breaks don't happen in isolation. They happen when you're in the mix, where things are happening. You can ask yourself, where do lucky people hang out? Where could you meet the right people, gain the right skills, or stumble into your next big opportunity? And you could change that to say, where do happy people hang out? If that helps you figure out where to go to be in the mix. So the challenge with this one is, go somewhere this week where opportunities are brewing. A networking event or a workshop or even a casual social gathering that you'd normally skip. How about a dog park? You don't have to have a dog to go sit on a bench at a dog park. Did you know that? Or maybe even church. Somewhere, just be in the room. All right, number 3, be someone's lucky break. I love this one. Here's the wild thing about luck. It multiplies when you create it for others. Think about a time when someone gave you a chance, opened a door, offered encouragement just at the right moment. They were your lucky break. What if you could do that for someone else? What if the fastest way to attract luck into your own life was to be the person who gives it away freely? Here's the challenge with this one. Do one small thing in the next couple of days to create a lucky break for someone else. introduce two people, recommend someone for an opportunity, refer someone, or just give encouragement to someone who needs it. Number 4, follow up and follow through. Want to know where most lucky breaks go to die? In the lack of follow-up. How many times have you had a promising conversation, a great idea, an exciting opportunity, and then you never did anything with it? Well, you know I've done that many times. I told you earlier, most people don't miss out on luck because of failure. They miss out because they never followed up on that thing that could have led to something more. So here's the challenge. Think of one person, one opportunity, or one idea you've been meaning to follow up on and take action today. Send the email, make the call, just get it done. You'll feel so much better. And you just don't know what doors that will open. All right, number 5, recognize the luck you already have. Sometimes we're so busy looking for the next opportunity that we completely miss the lucky breaks that we've already been given. We got to have gratitude for those. You want to make sure and acknowledge what you already have. Relationships that support you. You have skills that others would love to have. You have experiences that have shaped you in powerful ways. Recognizing the luck you already have expands your ability to attract more of it. Because when you see yourself as already lucky, or I am a lucky person, you start operating from a place of confidence and gratitude, and that energy attracts even more opportunities. Here's a challenge for that. Write down 3 ways you've already been lucky in the past month. The small wins, the right timing, the person who showed up right when you needed them. Write it down. Celebrate. Now, I know some of my listeners, and I'm using the word luck, and you might prefer to write down 3 ways you've been blessed in the past month. It's St. Patrick's Day, so I'm going with luck, but if you want to change that to say blessed, and that's easier for you to journal on, go for it. Go for it. So here's the bottom line. Luck isn't something you wait for. It's something you make. To recap those 5, the luckiest people say yes before they feel ready, show up in the right places, create lucky breaks for others, follow up and follow through, and they recognize and are grateful that they're already lucky. I hope you have a fantastic week. And don't wait for a leprechaun to show up with a pot of gold. Go create your own lucky break. See you next time. Thanks for being here.